You wake up to your alarm clock blowing your eardrum out and come to the harsh realization that it's Monday morning. Yeah, we've all been there. It's time to get out of bed and go about preparing yourself for another day of work. Then it hits you. You don't even have to leave your house to go to work. Your office is only 10 steps away after all. This is the workforce of today, but it still feels somewhat alien to us. Leaving the comfort of your home for the office has been the norm for as long as most of us can remember. Before the emergence of the internet in its modern form, those that worked from home were likely sole proprietors in some sense. We're talking about guys like Da Vinci, Galileo, and Copernicus. All are extremely successful historical figures, and they all did their work from home. I mean, the term Renaissance man does refer to a person who is good in many areas, and the staple of this time period were people who could essentially do it all when it came to the arts. As time went on, school children were groomed to not only manage their time correctly, but develop their teamwork and critical thinking skills. This translates directly into most work environments. The Industrial Revolution was right around the corner, and with that, it brought an even more concentrated focus on supervised work environments. But people still took advantage of their homes, as street-facing shops became extremely common to see. The industrial age birthed a brand new movement of skilled workers and set up a working outside the home model that many employers still follow today. It became easier for a larger segment of the population to work year-round, since the labor was not tied to the seasons, and artificial lighting made it possible to work longer each day. Peasants and farm laborers moved from rural areas to work in urban factories, and it is estimated that the annual hours of work increased during the 19th century by around 10%. These poor workers were often housed in cramped, grossly inadequate rooms. Working conditions were extremely difficult and exposed employees to many risks and dangers, including cramped work areas with poor ventilation, trauma from machinery, toxic exposures to heavy metals, and dust. Lots of dust. When the US government started to track work hours in the 1890s, they were shocked to find the average employee operating close to 100-hour work weeks. Various labor unions were already trying to get the government to pass a law that would mandate a workday of 8 hours. This work model didn't really go mainstream till Henry Ford started implementing it heavily in the 1920s. In a 1926 interview to a magazine, World's Work, Ford said, "Leisure is an indispensable ingredient in a growing consumer market, because working people need to have enough free time to find uses for consumer products, including automobiles." So essentially his thought process was that if you give people more time off, the more time they have to consume and purchase goods or services. Flash forward to today, and workers are still prepared to accept the same shifts, but how truly effective is it? This 9-to-5 model essentially created a movement that involved inflexible schedules and employer-provided spaces and tools. It is only during the first half of the 20th century that we really see the modern office take shape, due to the growth of technology and emerging research into employee motivation that showed improved morale actually leads to increased productivity. Who would have thought? Many of the precursors to the office tools we use today, like typewriters and telephones, were invented during this time, which, with the help of affordable public transportation, made going into the office or factory easier than it has ever been. Since the rise of the digital revolution, we've seen staggering growth in efficiencies, yet US workers still on average work 4 more weeks per year than they did in 1979. According to a recent study, 4 out of 5 employees feel that their work environments hinder their productivity. Seeing the same people every day can get stressful, and if you're not careful, toxic. What we're seeing take place now is a worldwide shift in ideology, that what it means to be employed doesn't necessarily translate to being physically present within the workforce. The sheer connecting power of our modern tools and a modern internet means being digitally present is far more feasible than it was even a decade ago. Whereas previously, office equipment and tools provided by employers were expensive, hardly portable in most cases, and not justifiable to have in the home. I mean, just look at the size of this computer. Now, the commonality of advanced tools and equipment in the average home dwarfs what even the most fortunate of kings and queens centuries ago could even dream of having at their fingertips. Mini computers that you can carry in your pocket, Bluetooth devices and Wi-Fi that you can access anywhere in your home, being able to video chat with someone across the world. It's never been easier to connect with each other from the comfort of our own homes. We see no sign of this slowing down given the state of the world as a recent study highlights that up to 2/3 of managers who offer telecommuting flexibility report that employees who work from home are actually more productive overall. And by 2028, it is estimated that around 73% of all departments will have remote workers. As millennials like myself slowly take over America's workforce, companies are increasingly offering perks that will appeal to them. And flexible working hours is among the top features that we millennials look for nowadays. I've known since I was little that a 9 to 5 in an office wasn't for me, so I chose a creative career path that I enjoy. Many employers are slowly starting to see the light and embrace flexible work hours. A tipping point is coming. And as companies start figuring out the logistics of every single employee working from home, we could see a future where office work is considered almost obsolete. If you would like to see more informational videos like this, let us know by liking and subscribing, and we'll see you guys in the next video.